All right, everybody, welcome to New York's #2 sports show. Producer Casey here, as always, with Mr. Derek Fask. The Giants lose to the Green Bay Packers 27-20 at home. The Mike Kafka era starts off with a loss as the Giants go 2-9 for the season thus far. And Derek, how you doing, bud?
Yeah, so new coach, Mike Kafka, comes in, and it pretty much looks as it has, pretty much all season, and especially recently. And look, Kafka, good for him. Seemed like he, I have no real faults, going in his direction. It's kind of the way I felt, whether it was Dable or Kafka, is there some little differences here and there? Sure. But at the end of the day, look, Giants show it's a spirited effort offensively. It's, with its mistakes, and Jameis Winston was in there, and it was, you kind of got the Jameis experience where eventually you knew he'd throw, he'd make, the turnover would happen. It does. Jalen Hyatt's probably to blame as well, with a corner route that he kind of just gives up on. Doesn't really, and maybe it gets picked up regardless. I guess we'll never find out. But Winston, wasn't great. There was a lot of dropped interceptions by Green Bay. Green Bay played a sloppy game on their end. And Josh Jacobs leaves the game early. Jordan Love left the game for a little bit. A lot of injuries sustained by Green Bay in this game. But ultimately, the Packers, trying to avoid a 3-game losing streak, find a way to get it done against the Giants. It's another fourth quarter loss. It's another game where the defense just kind of shits the bed. And, it's kind of crazy how Shane Bowen is still the defense coordinator. Don't be surprised if, and whether it be tomorrow or, before the end of the season, the bye week, if, Shane Bowen does still, lose his job. But the personnel's shit as well. So, it's in some ways it's kind of same old here. The way they lose is a little bit different each time. And it's not as if the Giants are getting blasted. I mean, most weeks they're in it. Of course, there's the odd stinker here and there, but, and that's not me, that's no defense for Joe Shane. I don't want to hear any, one score. They've only lost right. Most games have been one score losses. At the end of the day, losing is losing. And this team, it's in their DNA at this point. That's all they know how to do. So they dropped to 2-9. They have now lost 5 in a row, and it won't get any easier. 2 more games coming up at Detroit and at New England. Oof. That game being a Monday night game going into the bye week. So 2-11 is certainly a real possibility here. So, Green Bay gets it done, 27-20.
Yeah, and like you said, Derek, it's like, Josh Jacobs gets taken out of the game, right, with the knee injury, didn't return. Jordan Love had a series where he didn't play. Malik Willis came in. I mean, if there was a game for the Giants to try and steal one, this would have definitely been it. But, same old stuff happening with the fourth quarter, collapses and, just lack of energy on defense and everything like that. So, and, it's easy to just point the finger at Joe Shane and the roster that he constructed because, like you said, you would think maybe Kafka with the new head coach, the little oomph that tends to happen sometimes didn't seem to pan out.
Yeah, and look, I think the offense has, it's been, like I said, I think they used the word before, like they've shown spirit, like
they have
the run, right? And so, yeah, like. Yeah, it wasn't like the offense didn't make mistakes.
Right, I was going to say, just, I would say the run game, right, and the offensive line were probably the highlights of this game if you were going to find something to talk about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and the offensive line has been a bright spot, and that can't be lost, right? That it has been. There's a lot of questions as far as, with free agency and just the overall look of the offensive line as we move forward and future seasons, but it has held up, and it helps to have that continuity. It helps to stay healthy, which they have for the most part with the 5-man unit. But yeah, Tyrone Tracy really ran the ball well today.
He did.
19 carries, 88 yards. Devin Singletary, not quite as efficient, but gets a couple of touchdown runs, 16 carries, 44 yards. So again, not quite as good as Tracy. And Tracy did well in the receiving game. He had a very nice 3rd and 12 play where he broke a tackle and then, probably got, maybe like a 20-yard gain on it. And the funny thing too, and this is going to go back to Joe Shane, Isaiah Hodgins returns. So Isaiah Hodgins, who played a really big role in that 2022 Giants team where he had a very good stretch run there and played very well in that win against the Vikings. Isaiah Hodgins made a bunch of big catches from Daniel Jones there, then was on the Giants again for the whole 2023 season. And then last year is where Hodgins' role really decreases with the Giants, where he really doesn't play a whole lot, leading to him basically not being on the team anymore. I think the Niners technically scooped him up like right after the season, but he ends up on the Steelers practice squad for this, the most of this regular season. And it was kind of like, I think I might have mentioned on the show, I can't remember, but like Isaiah Hodgins would have made sense for sure with the garbage that was being rolled out there, especially once Malik Neighbors got hurt.
Yeah.
And here it is, and it speaks to a little bit of Hodgins, a little bit just the ineptitude of the wide receiver room, but Hodgins comes in there and leads the fucking team with 5 catches and 57 yards. I mean, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's someone that should definitely be here to stay, certainly through the end of the season and maybe even beyond that, just to give you just a guy. Look, he's not explosive, but he's just a good possession wide receiver that can move the chains and does what he needs to do. Quiet day for Wan'Dale Robinson. He was really one of their main real options. I mean, Theo Johnson has done a better job lately as far as not dropping the ball. So again, that's kind of the offensive look. Defensively, Paulson Adebo out again. I mean, there was hope that maybe he'd return. That wasn't to be. I don't know. It's just one of those things. Kayvon Thibodeau, he gets hurt last week, so he wasn't in there, and it meant more Abdul Carter. Now, Abdul Carter ends up not playing the first defensive series, and it was a coach's decision. Clearly a disciplinary. We don't know what it was, so we'll just speculate. And I don't know if he missed a team meeting or what the hell happened. He played the rest of the game, but, not great for a player that has not exactly put up results this season in Abdul Carter. But, it's just a lot of shit, man. Deontay Banks, more embarrassment from him. Where I think it was on the Emmanuel Wilson touchdown where Banks just kind of gives up at the end. I mean, that's just what he does. He doesn't really try to be physical at all. So like Corey Black ends up being in there, which just speaks to just terrible depth. I mean, the fact that Deontay Banks can't hold up a spot over Corey Black, a 7th round rookie pick from the Giants, who the Jets got.
That's
then
great.
The Jets got rid of him and the Giants got him back. Like the fact that he is even playing is a fucking absolute joke. I mean, it really is fucking crazy.
That's wild. Yeah.
And so defense is a little bit beat up, but where is that pass rush? I know Thibodeau's out. I know that whatever, but pass rush just isn't getting it done. I mean, Brian Burns got a couple of sacks in this game, but it was a pretty quiet game from Burns. Like, a couple of sacks, they were like somewhat fortunate, I'll say. I mean, he's been unbelievable this season.
Yeah.
But man, like as we've seen with both of our teams, and the Giants really consistently, the Giants get off to that early start. They do. And one other thing I want to mention, Evan Neal finally, he goes on IR with a bullshit hamstring injury. So the Evan Neal era is over. It was a fucking disaster, really from the beginning.
I mean, his most notable accomplishment is talking shit to the fans, basically.
Exactly.
That's all I know him as. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So now Evan Neal can enjoy flipping burgers with the rest of the fans that he shit on.
Right. Working at State Farm. Yeah, go for it.
Right, exactly. So. Fucking loser. So yeah, it's, it's what this Giant team, it's what we're used to. It's what we're accustomed to. And yeah, like, look, they get out to that good start, opening drive, touchdown, 9-play, 65-yard drive, which ends up in a Devin Singletary 5-yard touchdown run. I mean, this Green Bay team, look, they found a way to get the win. They're dealing with injuries themselves, but man, they're just, I think push comes to shove, there's a good chance to make the playoffs. It's not a guarantee, but this is not a team that I see as one that's really in a fairly wide open NFC. I don't see them as a Super Bowl contender at all. Like this is a team that, and you know what? Jeff Haflin, who was someone that we had mentioned in the last Jet episode as far as coaching candidates, look, like I know a lot of it's personnel, but was not impressed with Jeff Haflin. Just like the Giant offense, which does not have much going on. No Jackson Dart. Really moved the ball pretty consistently against this Green Bay defense. Yeah. So as far as like early impressions, just from one game, did not love what I saw there. And just Green Bay in general. I just think that this team is, is going to be outclassed by some of the better NFC teams when push comes to shove. But obviously this Giant team, they are good at losing. So that's going to kind of win out at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Singletary gets that touchdown. Hodgins is pretty early, is involved, pretty nicely early. I guess it was just one catch for Hodgins looking at it now. But Packers end up punting on their first possession. Trying to think if there was anything. It was actually kind of not smart by Kafka. I felt like Kafka challenged a play where Josh Jacobs is like out of bounds. It was a close out of bounds play where either way, either Jacobs would have been just, if they did overturn it, the risk wasn't, it wasn't worth losing the timeout, losing the challenge. So I didn't think Kafka from a challenge standpoint, it wasn't smart. But then there was another play later on that he probably should have challenged that was worth a look. And I think maybe because he already lost one, didn't really have the, he didn't want to take the risk at that point. So, if there's one thing that maybe, first game as head coach, maybe the challenging wasn't great there, but a very run-heavy Giant approach here. Like Jameis Winston, they kind of tried to, I guess, in some ways, keep the ball out of his hands. He made some plays. I mean, there was a lot of third down conversions, really on both sides, third and fourth down conversions. But at the end of the day, we go to the second quarter, and the win was really a factor. There was a lot of missed kicks in this game on both sides.
Yep.
And maybe it affected the game plan slightly, but yeah, Green Bay, pretty long drive, 12-play, 62-yard drive, and it ends up, I think it goes into the second quarter. This is where Jordan Love actually gets hurt. Malik Willis comes in, and actually when he was in there, it worked out. I mean, Malik Willis is not a great backup, former Tennessee Titan quarterback.
Yep.
He can run. And that worked. Josh Jacobs at this point was still in the game. It actually was probably his last drive, Jacobs. And it ends up Christian Watson, who had a really good game, made some really nice catches. He makes a nice 1-yard catch. I can't blame Deonte Banks. He was draped all over him. Watson, just those hands were just working in this one. I can't say that for Romeo Doubs. Romeo Doubs was dropping everything going his way, as well as the Green Bay defenders. Plenty of times where Jameis Winston was almost picked off and was not. Green Bay gets the touchdown. They missed the extra point, though. And again, that was the thing in this game. Lucas Havrasek goes wide right. Giants then go 3 and out, and then Green Bay with Jordan Love back in the game, Josh Jacobs out. You get, a couple of nice plays to Christian Watson, Matthew Golden, and it ends up in an 11-yard touchdown for Emmanuel Wilson, and that was the one we were talking about where Deonte Banks kind of just lets up at the end there. Then Green Bay's looking like they might gain full momentum, and there was that play before that 3rd and 12 that somehow Green Bay missed the tackle. Number 56, I believe missed the tackle, and Tyrone Tracy is able to not only break it, and he gets a first down, 20 yards to midfield, and then the Giant offense just kind of rolls from there, ending up after a defensive pass interference penalty on Green Bay. You get a 2-yard touchdown run for Devin Singletary. Younghoe Koo makes the initial extra point, but Austin Schlottman is called for a chop block, and then Koo misses the ensuing extra point. So it stays 13-all, and that's the score at half. So, Giants were in it the whole way. Green Bay was sloppy. They really weren't playing great ball. And coming out of the second half, Green Bay with a nice drive, 6 plays, 66 yards for a touchdown. Wiley, the tight end, ended up wide open. I think John Holland kind of ended up getting picked on the play, ends up on the ground, and Wiley's just wide open. And this was after a couple of plays after a Dane Belton defensive pass interference. So 35 worth of yards, putting Green Bay in a good spot to get a touchdown, but they do miss the extra point, keeping it a 6-point game. Then you got only the fucking Giants where you see this shit, a 16-play, 56-yard drive, 9 minutes and 46 seconds, which ends up in nothing, ends up in them turning it over on downs. 16 plays, how do you get that many plays with that short of a yard and almost 10 minutes of action?
That's unbelievable.
It's just crazy shit. There was a, there was a play earlier that was actually close towards the end of the half. I want to go back to where it looked like, I think it was Musgraves, the tight end, taking over for Tucker Kraft, who's hurt. It looked like he might have fumbled it, but then they actually overturned it to incomplete. I thought that was a close play, and that would have given the Giants a potential, at least a field goal chance at the end of the half. But I digress. There were no turnovers in this game until the Jameis Winston pick at the end. But yeah, the Giants, they convert, like there was a decent amount of fourth down conversions and third down conversions for Green Bay. Just couldn't get off the field when they needed to in most cases. Even fucking Jalen Hyatt makes a 14-yard catch on this drive, which is rare. I mean, he's one of the worst wide receivers in the league. And finally, Micah Parsons, who the Giants really kept in check. He finally gets a half sack on Jameis Winston to end the drive. But then Green Bay goes 3 and out. So they were never able to really gain much traction. We go to the fourth quarter, and the Giants put up a really nice drive. 15-play, 85-yard, just shy of 8 minutes to give them a 20-19 lead. Tyrone Tracy getting involved in the passing game with a 20-yard reception. Theo Johnson with a nice 14-yard catch near the sideline. And even after an offensive holding called on Andrew Thomas, there was a big 3rd and 13 where Johnson gets an 11-yard catch. And then Isaiah Hodgins, a 4th down conversion, 13-yard reception. And yeah, a face mask penalty called on Green Bay puts the Giants in a good spot. And Jameis Winston gets a QB sneak for a touchdown to give the Giants, and they make the extra point to give them a 2019 lead. But what do you think is going to happen? It's the fourth quarter. The Giants had the lead, and the defense is on the field. So what happens is exactly what you'd expect to happen. Yeah. Green Bay is able to get the job done and some. And really the big play of this drive is a 3rd and 10 at the 47. And somehow Savion Williams makes a great catch against Cordell Flott, a 33-yard sort of prayer from Jordan Love, where if this is incomplete, Green Bay is going to have to punt it away. And who knows? The Giants still probably find a way to lose. But Williams is able to make a really nice catch. And they're even able to overcome an offensive holding as well. Dobbs 13-yard reception after that. And then Christian Watson with just a really nice 17-yard catch, I think against Corey Black. And then they get a 2-point conversion. Love to Wilson, which was big, puts them up 7. So it put the Giants in a position where they needed to get a touchdown, and they would have went for 2. But we never get to that point. So the Giants get the ball back, 4 minutes left, and they're moving the ball a bit. They're moving it downfield. Theo Johnson with an 11-yard catch on a 3rd and 5. Tyrone Tracy, 17 run. The Giant run game got better and better. It wasn't good, but it didn't put them in like bad down and distances, which was key with Jameis Winston. A lot of like 2nd and 6, the 3rd downs were always somewhat reasonable.
Yeah.
And, that helped a lot. There was a weird play at the 2-minute warning where Jameis Winston decides to do a fake kneel. And I don't know why he did that. It ends up an incomplete pass, but it's kind of no harm, no foul, because the Giants end up getting a first down after that. There's a Wan'Dale Robinson incomplete pass towards the end zone. Then Devin Singletary goes 4 yards on the run. And then it is the Jameis Winston interception, 3rd and 6 at the 14. Jalen Hyatt doesn't really run the route fully. And it gets picked off. So, yeah, I mean, look, Jameis Winston was kind of tempting fate a while there, so blame probably all the way around, to be fair. Green Bay does, they go 3 and out, so the Giants do get the ball back, but a nice punt. And the last play, 10 seconds left, Giants have the ball at their own 35. Micah Parsons gets the sack, fumble, and recovery by Rashawn Gary to seal the deal. Green Bay wins 27-20. And, what was a very close game kind of ends up in a result that we're used to. And a Giant team that has played fairly well at home drops to 2 and 3 at home. And yeah, man, that's it. Giants lose at 27-20 to Green Bay.
Yeah. And just like your thoughts on Mike Kafka, today as a coach, any kind of play calling, just, anything you like, anything you didn't like.
Yeah. It just seemed like, just from a more of a mentality standpoint, it seemed like he was preaching positivity. Yeah. Like, and Dable is a player's coach. He was, right. It's a good question. Dable is a player's coach, but he is very, he is fiery. He is critical. Kafka, I think, was more of like, try to, and with Jameis Winston as well. I think just from a personality standpoint, it was different. As far as play calling, and maybe it was just specific to the opponent. And obviously Kafka, he was calling plays before Dable got fired anyway. Yeah. So you wouldn't see maybe too many different things. They did run the ball a lot. Of course, it's tough to tell too, because obviously it's Jameis Winston's first game, so that's going to change the game plan from Jackson Dart. Yeah, a lot of just involvement with the running backs, right? With Tracy and the screen game seemed to be a big thing. Elijah Chapman, the defensive tackle, was in at fullback and goal line, which he was elevated. So that was a little bit of a new wrinkle. Yeah, we didn't see Wan'Dale Robinson involved as much. I mean, make that of it as you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Kafka, it looked, to me, ultimately, it looked pretty similar to the offense that we've seen. What was interesting was not much play action. Even though they ran the ball a ton, they ran like 38 times, only like 3 play action passing attempts, which, was a little bit surprising. Maybe you could have kind of caught Green Bay off guard a little bit there. But yeah, look, I think Kafka, like, it's going to be tough. I think that a lot of people in that Giant front office want him to ultimately win. I'm sure Joe Shane, like, because I think it helps his job security to, have Kafka remain as head coach, but it's tough with this team, and to me, I don't want to see bullshit wins after the bye in what is really going to be a very weak fucking schedule. I mean, Washington, Minnesota, Raiders, and Cowboys. There's going to be wins there. It's just the way it is. And I don't want that. Like, if you end up going 0-3, Green Bay, Detroit, and New England, even if the games are competitive, like, and then you scrap 2-3 wins at the end of the season, that's not going to be enough for me to say, okay, Kafka should be the head coach.
Right. Okay.
And he's like the least of, like, the funny thing is, like, Kafka, like, I don't have a real problem with him. He's fine. He's all right. I think, like, if a team wanted to take a chance on him as a head coach, I wouldn't totally blame them. It's really the blame very much right now is with the defense. Shane Bowen somehow is still defensive coordinator of this team, which is kind of mind-boggling. And just the personnel, the roster just is simply not good enough. The depth is not where it needs to be to compete and win football games.
Yeah, it's rough. I mean, like you were mentioning Hyatt and obviously, Deontay Banks too. It's just like, what is, I mean, I guess there's nobody else to put out there because especially these guys were so highly regarded. But, the fact that there's no one behind them too, lack of depth on this roster, it's just, it's everything that you've been saying about Shane and this whole regime. And, it's just kind of unfortunate that it seems like everything's a little bit in limbo here of whether or not he's going to stay. So, I mean, I guess, we just kind of have to play it out and see what happens, but pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that, again, like, it's not like they got killed, but I hope that the losses, I mean, look, like, it's 2-9. I mean, you really might be looking at 2-11. Like, that's real shit. I mean, look, say what you want. That's still real shit. Even if you are competitive in these games, and even though the schedule is tough and there are injuries, like, at the end of the day, the record, it's so fucking it is so fucking bad.
So bad.
You know what I mean? It's one thing, like, and I'd rather it be that way, but actually make it count. Actually, like, fire, let the guy fucking go.
Let's do something. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's your lips to God's ears. But yeah, like you said, it's not going to get any easier. You're going to be in Detroit next week. The Jets are going to be in Baltimore. So, 2 places that are not too friendly to away teams there. So we shall see. But, guys, just make sure to stay tuned. We'll be here on Sunday recapping those games, and Derek will be recapping a Ranger game that will be happening later tonight. So make sure to be on the lookout for that. And as always, please like and subscribe. We're up to about 1,675, I believe, last time I checked, which is awesome. So just appreciate the support as always, guys. Until next time, producer Casey here with Mr. Derek, and we shall see you soon.